So we're going to move on to advantages and disadvantages essays. And there's 3 kinds of prompts. We're only going to look at one today. So for advantages and disadvantages, the prompt could be phrased 3 different ways. In this case, we've got more and more individuals and businesses are choosing to communicate socially and professionally using technology rather than face-to-face. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of using technology for communication. So notice here, they are not asking for your opinion. Okay. If they don't ask for your opinion, do not give it. It's considered off topic. You'll get a lower mark if you give your opinion. You might get a question like, do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? It'll be like this. Do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages?
But it's asking discuss the advantages and disadvantages. Like we have to discuss both, isn't it?
Yes. So one body paragraph on the pros, one body paragraph on the cons.
Okay.
So I'm just telling you what the other types of advantages and disadvantages questions are so you don't get confused. So you might get, do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? And that's very much like agree, disagree. Okay. In this type, you do not need to talk about both sides. Pick one and simply acknowledge the other side.
Okay.
That's all you need to do. Or you might get discuss the advantages and disadvantages and give your opinion. And then the structure is very much the same as 2 points of view or 2 perspectives and your opinion, where you combine one of the sides with your opinion. On the other side, the disadvantages include blah, 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 and I believe these outweigh the advantages. So for ours today, it's just descriptive. And we're just talking about the advantages and disadvantages.
Without opinion, right?
There's no opinion.
Okay.
Sarian, for this question, more and more individuals and businesses are choosing to communicate socially. So if we talk about the advantage, shall we talk about individual and social communication or business and professional communication? Or both of them? Because
I would talk about both. I would definitely talk about both.
So in the advantage, I can put 2 points, one related to individual, one to the businesses. And the disadvantage also, one for this and one for that.
You would. Keep in mind that you might be able to double them up. It might be the same disadvantage. So you could say, well, this disadvantage pertains to individuals in this way, to business in this way. But let's see what we come up with and let's see how it works. But yeah, if they're giving you individuals and businesses, socially and professionally, then you need to talk about both. Because they don't give you this part for no reason. Right, this is the context, this is what they would like you to talk about. Okay, so what are the, let's start with advantages. Disadvantages, let's say. So social communication, just to clarify things, and professional. Okay, let's ask Safa.
Yes, hi.
So, hi, so what's one advantage for individuals engaging in social communication of using technology to communicate instead of face-to-face.
Okay. Advantage to use the electronic communication instead to face-to-face.
Instead of.
Mm-hmm.
It's always instead of.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it's more easy, I think. If you want to meet any people face-to-face, you need to drive or go out from your home, even if the weather is not good, something like this. But if the communication always through the technology, that when you are comfortable at home, you could do that. It's easy and faster as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's quick and easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's quick, easy, and cheap. Let's add.
Yeah.
So no transportation, no big costs involved.
And you can address the large gathering at once.
You cannot, sorry?
You can address, like, if you want to invite someone to the conference, you can just mail it and they will be there. So you can engage the large number of the audience.
Okay, like that. That's good. That's easy to develop. Can engage a large audience because it's easy for that audience to attend.
Yep.
Right? If I'm doing a conference and I invite you, and that involves flying and staying in a hotel and whatever, it's thousands of dollars. Or I can just send you a Zoom link, right?
Yep.
Can we say like that now we are in an emergency situation, like in situation of Corona, COVID, that when there is face-to-face is dangerous, but still, you know, many businesses continue to work because of the the communication through the internet.
I was waiting for someone to say coronavirus or COVID-19. I mean, that's the big obvious advantage, right?
Yeah, many things we can rely on it, and many examples we can think. It affects our life 100%.
So obviously, safety is the key word here.
Yeah, so I want to say safety. Okay.
Okay, so in 2 words, what are the main advantages?
Convenient and safety.
Convenience and safety. There you go. This happens really often, that all of your ideas in one body paragraph can be summarized in 1 or 2 words. There's like a single controlling idea or 2 controlling ideas for these kinds of paragraphs. In this, you've got convenience and safety. You've got lots of good reasons here. What's an example that you could give? Just think of your daily life, work, IELTS.
Well, we cannot talk Corona, make it as an example.
Yeah. Whatever's easiest to talk about.
It is like easy. Like my husband, he's working from home due to of the corona, but he's still working.
Mhm.
So I think this is a convenience and plus his safety as well, because he's safe at home. He's not facing too many people, and at the same time he's doing his business.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just gonna be like he has to come to the another room just to do his work instead of going out and for 1 hour drive to Toronto and do his work. So if you compare, so it is convenient. This is convenient. The internet and the communication, as it, because he was doing all the time the talks and conferences and calls, he can attend at his own place rather than going out.
For sure. So talk about what's easiest for you to talk about. You can talk about your husband as the professional example if you like. We don't need examples for both because it's so obvious, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What about the disadvantages?
Losing the human touch.
Sorry, I think I heard Kelly first.
Yeah, individual social communication disadvantages.
Yep. What's a disadvantage either for individuals or for businesses?
For businesses, I think is well, for individual is also there isn't a major disadvantage, which is of above internet. I mean,
No,
it could go down as a disadvantage.
Cyber attacks.
For individual, yeah.
Okay, so let's say unreliable internet access is a problem for some people. That's cyber attacks.
Sedentary lifestyle.
Sedentary lifestyle. That one could be a little bit tricky to articulate because it's the disadvantage for communication.
Yeah, no health.
Not health, right.
Mm-hmm.
So be careful with that one. So
Okay, so maybe they will become socially inactive, like social skills and association and.
So we're gonna, for similar reasons, I think we should leave these off because that doesn't really deal with the communication aspect. These are like security aspects, and yes, but I don't think they're central to the issue. Right? Because cyber attacks are a danger of absolutely anything that you do online. They're not unique to communication. And unreliable internet access, again, that's a common problem for absolutely anything you do online.
How about privacy?
Privacy in what sense?
Like everything is online, like your Facebook account and anything, your Insta, and everyone can see it. And sometimes people take advantages.
Yes, but does that impact the communication itself? Like, is that a problem that's unique to communication, or is this a problem that's related to simply using the internet in general to communicate? I mean, you don't have privacy when you communicate with people. They know who you are. If you phone them or if you send them a letter or go meet them, they know who you are. So I'm just afraid we're going to go off track on that one.
Okay.
So let's just focus on the communication itself. Let's just assume you've got reliable internet access. No one's hacking your conversation. Is communication the same via Zoom? Like even if you think about this class, like do you prefer to be in a classroom? Does this have any disadvantages compared to
I think
Yes.
no, you cannot see the body language.
There you go.
So
Okay, so you can't see body language. So my follow-up question is, so what? So I'm not being rude when I say so what. It's called the so what test. Means
no.
You're
Yeah,
not interactive, less
I
interactive.
why?
see the emotion of people, or maybe to understand the message itself. Sometimes not only the words, or even with the
Harder to... Okay, this could be tricky to articulate. Can you just be specific about what might be harder to understand? I mean, I've got a good example that I'm thinking of. I'm just wondering if you've got one.
Harder to understand the learning process, like if you're in the class or
So when you talk to your kids, how do you know if they've understood you or not?
the expressions, face.
Yeah, right. Or if you're talking to a patient, how do you know they've understood your instructions and your recommendations versus they're just embarrassed to say they don't understand?
Yeah.
sometimes you like patient assessment, you can see them if they are in pain or not. So from all their expression.
Yeah.
From eye contact as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you look in the eyes, you could understand if you are the other people that's engaged with you or no.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So as an example, Zoom can only see several let's call it meeting attendees' faces at once. So in a bigger meeting, no face-to-face interaction with others. Obviously, can't see if they are engaged, they understand. And I think as a doctor, you could just use that as an example. That if you have to do Zoom meetings versus face-to-face meetings, you're going to lose some of that, you're going to lose a lot of that body language, right?
Yeah, finding as well.
Sorry, what was the last word you said? Finding?
Finding, yeah. Clinical findings.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you examine the patient, you will like from his face, you can assess either he is in pain or when you touch him. So like you can assess the patient more in a good manner. Like if I talk to the phone to my doctor, she doesn't understand what I'm like suffering from. I can only explain, but when she examines, she will assess like what I'm going through.
Okay. I'm just going to leave it at this. Clinical findings are not as accurate.
Okay.
Like you can't, what do they call it? Palpate? You can't,
Sorry?
like
Oh,
palpate.
yeah, palpate.
What does palpate mean? Just touch someone to feel how they feel?
Yep.
Palpate. Examine by touch. Oh yeah. Okay, perfect. Can't palpate. Patients, maybe self-reports are not as reliable. what else could we say?
Because the finding will be missed. No? If you cannot assess properly, like if you are unable to palpate or you are unable to auscultate, the finding will be missed.
You need to palpate to localize area of tenderness and figure out if there is any organomegaly. But I'm not sure if organomegaly, this is like a medical terminology or a common one.
As long as it's
Medical.
spelled correct, as long as it's spelled correctly and you're using it correctly, it's fine. If they don't know the word, they'll look it up.
Okay.
The examiner will be maybe happy to learn a new word. Okay.
Jan, I've got a question in individual social communication, the disadvantages. Could be a disadvantage, for example, not having a space to work from home? So it's not really convenient? Because not everyone has a space at home to work.
That's true.
Because we're talking about convenience and safety. We already gave a lot of safe. But I think we're missing the convenience and disadvantages in individual social communication.
Okay, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. So let's say you don't have, what do you mean by having an appropriate space in your home?
For example, when you're working from home, not everyone have the easy access to have a room and internet so they can continue working from home. So that's a disadvantage. If you don't have the equipment, if you don't have a room.
But if you're not using it, like if you're not communicating, how can it be a disadvantage? Using technology for communication is our topic.
You run the risk, Kelly, of going off topic because you're not focusing on the communication per se, but on the gear for communication.
I see.
I don't know if I'm explaining that very well. That's like a secondary issue in a sense, not like a primary issue. Like, for example, I get invitations to attend video conferences from all kinds of people, and some of them are professors, some of them are business people, and you expect these people to run their meetings from their home office or from like a little study they might have, but very often it's completely obvious that they're sitting at their dinner table, right? These are very highly paid professionals and they're just sitting at the kitchen table. You can see all the crap in the kitchen behind them, and it's just become normal, right? You can hear the kids in the background screaming.
I see.
I mean,
so I assume it's normal to be anywhere in the house. You don't have to have a specific place.
Well, maybe better not in the bathroom, but maybe sure. That's where we draw the line. Okay. But like, I don't know if any of you are familiar with Jordan Peterson. It's a famous psychiatrist, works at the University of Toronto. He was in the news during the whole Me Too thing because he was like he had some interesting ideas kind of in opposition to that, but the reasons were very, anyway, if you haven't heard of him, don't worry about it, but he's a super famous professor from U of T, and he had like this, he would just let people call in, he would take callers and kind of offer psychological advice, and he would put the stuff on YouTube, and it's from his unfinished basement. Right, like you see all the like raw wood in the back, the unfinished studs, and he's just sitting, and that's the only quiet place he could find in his house, in an unfinished basement. So if someone at that level doesn't care and thinks that that's okay, then who am I to judge that person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. If you want to say that, okay, if you don't have the right environment, if you don't have a library or an office at home, then maybe it's not professional. Right. So if you want to argue that it's unprofessional to communicate that way,
But
you
then I will
can.
be out of topic of social communication.
So there,
Well, it affects communication if people are
Yeah.
overly concerned about how the communication appears.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you would have to explain why you think that hurts communication, because we're talking about the disadvantages. So if you've got a reason, then like you should say what it is.
so I exactly don't remember, but there was news about this politician, like he was too busy working in pandemic, this in the COVID, and he was taking bath and his Zoom was on and everybody saw him. So it might be some disadvantage, isn't it? Because he was so busy, he couldn't have time to do like he has to attend meeting and he went to washroom. So this happened. He forget to switch off his camera.
Oh, that's funny. Where was that?
In Canada, yeah.
Canada.
Yeah. I don't remember the name, but it was he was a politician working with the government for this COVID. He was covering the COVID.
It was going to happen.
Yeah.
It was bound to happen.
Yeah.
At least it's
It is,
not the
you
prime
can say it's
minister.
unreliable because sometimes you don't want, and like sometimes I text someone and it will go to another person. I don't know. It's an absence of mind or maybe the fault of communication.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it happens.
Yeah. I still would like us to come up with something that's focused on the quality of the communication itself. This example, the clinical example, is perfect. It's obvious that you can't examine a patient as well through a teleconference or a video conference compared to seeing them in person. Right? No problem whatsoever understanding this or explaining this. And that falls under professional communication.
Yeah.
Right? Body language, same thing, right? If you're with your friends and you're telling stories and your stories are boring, then you can see that your friends are starting to like
Yawning. Yeah.
yeah, or they're squirming, or they're like, checking their phone or something. But here on Zoom, I could be talking for an hour. Meanwhile, all the students are just checking their phones and stuff and texting their friends.
Yeah.
Right. So again, I think we already said this. Yeah, you can't tell if people are engaged or not. So maybe we don't need any more. Do we have enough?
Ian, how about
We
Lucy?
need more disadvantages, I think.
I think we've got lots. Sorry, go ahead.
Lucy, in the personal touch, because like now even in this class we have not seen each other. So likewise, we are losing that touch, right? Which is very important.
Why?
Because like when you're in an office, like that closeness
is there. But when you're like stay away with that, that bond is no longer, isn't it?
Yes, but you have to do a better job of articulating why. Like, what do you mean by this closeness of working together?
Imagine now if we are working in a office environment, when a new person comes in, we get to know each other. So that bond is there, the teamwork is there. But all of a sudden, if we are to start working at home through online, so we don't know each other. So isn't it affecting the teamwork?
No social interact, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Social interact?
Teamwork.
Like,
Yeah, social interaction, that's right. Personal through. That's true. I'm just trying to think of the best way to express that in a more precise way. So let's say I'm just writing versus more impersonal through through technology mediated communication. This is a fancy phrase. Is there an example that you could give that brings this idea to life?
sorry for what?
Is there a good example that you could give, Chamri, to describe or to bring this idea to life of losing touch with people? I wrote that it's just more impersonal.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have got a good example, then maybe that would help.
For me, like it's difficult to put in words, but this is what I feel like, because when we are together, we know each other very well than sitting separately. So that itself would help us to, come up with the best work. I mean, as a team. So that is how I feel. Like anyway, people would work from home as teams, but still, when you work together, that is more productive, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't disagree with you at all. I'm just trying to figure out a way to express that concisely.
Yeah.
I think that this is something that's kind of easy to express if you just throw words at it and write something really long, but
Mm.
to concisely express this, I'm having some trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it really about working together in person that's so different? I mean, is it just because we're mammals?
What do you mean by impersonal? I am impersonal. What do you mean by that word, impersonal?
It doesn't feel close.
Oh, okay.
Like an email feels more impersonal than a handwritten note.
Okay.
Can somebody put their finger on exactly what the difference is? Like I know in terms of how it feels,
Mm-hmm.
I know what you mean. But in terms of how to express it,
Yeah, it's
I'm
difficult.
not sure.
So we'll forget it there.
Sometimes you have to just give up at some point.
Yeah.
And you know what? It'll probably occur to you after class. Or the second you walk out of the exam, it'll pop into your head. But
That's okay.
I mean, I think we've got more than enough here.
Yeah.
Why don't we have everyone write one well-developed body paragraph? We're not going to worry too much about the thesis right now. That's very straightforward for this one. Let's just get everyone to write a single well-developed paragraph. Okay, give you 15 minutes. Okay. Kelly, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a good start. Now, what's missing here? What do you have to always include for IELTS that's missing from this paragraph?
The context.
Nope. The example.
Oh, okay.
It's always in the instructions that you need reasons and you need examples. So those are not optional, those are requirements of the task. So you get a band 6 on task achievement if there's no example.
So the one person sitting in the Philippines can contact an American client is not part of the example?
It's not a well-developed example.
I see. Mm-hmm.
There's total lack of development. You've got a very basic reason. An advantage is that it helps to communicate worldwide. How does it do this? Okay, because you can use email or Zoom. The fact that you've got a person in the Philippines, I mean, you could pick any country here. It makes no difference, whether it's Philippines and America. Okay, so right now, this is what we would call an abstract or general idea. For example, our business uses Zoom, or ever since the COVID pandemic started, we have been using Zoom, which has allowed us to, allowed our business to just survive, basically. Or it has allowed us to continue holding meetings and generating new business.
Mm-hmm. I see.
The examples that we talked about from the medical perspective, right? So this one is Chalmers. Are you there?
I'm here, yeah.
Okay. And Kelly, if I can just say something.
Yeah.
This is 83 words. A well-developed paragraph is going to be about 120, 130 words.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you just doubled this, you'd be at 166 words. Plus your intro and conclusion. If your intro is just 2 sentences and the conclusion is 1 sentence, you're not even going to make 250 words.
Okay.
So this is, it's a good start for sure, but it's a bit inadequate for band 7.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, social media has now become a common platform for individuals and businesses as communication through social media is fast and cheap. Okay. Remember what we did up here, Kelly? Right, the key idea is convenience and safety.
Yeah.
That would be a good topic sentence, just like Chomri has done here. Right, it's fast and cheap. Convenience, so here, efficiency, so she's focused on that point. Sudden urgent meetings through Skype with a short notice. On short notice.
Anna, yeah, Anna. Sorry.
We met on short notice. Like organizing a face-to-face meeting where people need, so face-to-face is hyphenated, or people need a lot of time to reach a venue.
Oh, well, yes.
It's reach this place, reach a venue, transitive. Moreover, it is costly, so that's in the wrong place. Costly, moreover, it's costly people spend on gas, bus, train, fare. Wrong fare?
I guess.
Personal attire, where such expenses are not taken place. Take place is one of those verbs. It does not work in passive voice. There's no passive voice. His place was taken. Okay, I think this might be what you're confusing it with. My place was taken by someone else.
Yes.
I left my spot and then my spot was taken by someone else. But this is a phrasal verb, take place. What's a synonym for take place? What's a verb, one word that means take place?
Taken.
Starts with O, C.
Occupy.
Occupied. Occupied.
Occur.
Oh.
Oh, occur.
Occur. Occur is something coming up, right? Like.
Well, when did the event occur? When did the event take place?
Oh yeah.
Them like happen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Happen.
Can you use any of these three verbs passively? Can you say it was happened by? It was occurred by? It was taken place by?
No.
No. So for these ones, there is no passive voice. Okay. Just don't take place. Such expenses do not occur, and it's expenses with an E when you conduct a meeting online. It's conduct a meeting through Zoom, but it's conduct a meeting online.
Oh, okay.
We're meeting through Zoom, we're meeting online.
Okay.
Due to these reasons, comma, people find social media is the best way to carry on communications. Okay. Okay. Do you have is there an example?
I would have done it, but I forgot.
I.e., no. Okay. Again, 95 words.
Yeah.
It's too light. At 25 words is about 2 sentences. Right? 2 sentences or a nice complex sentence. So, same issue. I mean, it's a general idea, but the point of this is that it's easy to write something like this.
Yeah.
It's harder to develop it together with an example. Okay, let's move on to Safa. Safa, right away, I'm just going to see how long this is. We're at 103 words. Let's see how this looks. Easy. Regarding the advantages of using technology for communication, people prefer to use technology. People prefer to communicate via technology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you use a word like use, it's non-specific, right?
Yeah, it could
So,
be just,
so when you use this kind of vague verb, it forces you to use additional vocabulary to communicate a simple idea. Use technology to communicate, or communicate via technology is more direct. And something I've noticed Rather, I've noticed something because of its absence is that people don't use this word via very much.
Yeah.
It's really rare to see. It's a great word. It means
Yeah,
through.
it's the same meaning like through or something.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Let's communicate via email. Let's communicate through email.
Okay.
Instead of face-to-face, especially nowadays with COVID-19, because it is easy, fast, comma, and safe. For example, nowadays, almost. We've got nowadays, you can switch to these days.
Sir, why comma with and?
Sorry, say again, please.
Why you put comma before and? Like fast, comma, and end. And
This
and
is right. This is called the Oxford comma, and it's to improve clarity.
okay.
Who's coming to dinner? I invited the Smiths, Pat, and Susan. Okay.
Yeah.
How many people did I invite to dinner?
Smiths is a family. Pat and Susan.
Yep. So how many people did I invite to dinner?
3.
Pat and Suzanne, if you didn't put a comma, that means only one person, or the
Smiths mean a family.
come together.
So there's 2 ways of interpreting this. Smiths are a family, right?
Yeah.
If you just put S at the end of a last name, it means that family. So it's the Smiths, maybe it's 2 people, maybe they have kids, and then Pat, and then Susan. So at least 4 people, right? Yeah. Or if you remember what an appositive is, everyone remembers appositive?
No.
Appositive is this construction, like your friend, Bob, needs help. Okay, this is the appositive.
Like a Bob, it's extra.
Bob is the same as friend.
Yeah.
So this looks like this. So did I invite, so this could easily be interpreted as I invited 2 people to dinner. That Pat and Susan are the Smiths. Does that make sense?
If there is a comma, then it means that Pat and Susan are Smith. If there is a no comma, then what does it mean? Like,
well, it's ambiguous. That's the problem.
Oh.
The problem is we don't know what it means.
Okay.
So that's why we have this thing called an Oxford comma, because if you put in this comma here, then it's crystal clear that you've invited the Smiths, and then separately Pat, and then separately Susan. But if you don't put that comma in there, then it's ambiguous, and ambiguous means it's not clear which one it is. It could be, this could be in a positive, or this could be 3 items. So this family plus these 2 individuals.
Okay.
For example, nowadays, start working, almost all companies start working online using technology. No, have started working online. Almost all companies have started working online using technology connections to terminate deals. Huh? What do you mean terminate deals?
Actually, I put a complete deals. I don't know why.
Okay. Oh, I see. Close deals.
Yeah.
Terminate means
like a cutoff or a stop. But I mean, yeah, it's like a finish or I mean by that, like a close a deal.
Yeah, so you can't you can't paraphrase this
Mm-hmm.
this phrase, close
But
deal.
if I wrote like a finish a deal, finish like a stopping?
Nope. Don't paraphrase it. It's we closed the deal means both sides signed the deal. That's a
Right.
good thing. Like really good salespeople are often called closers.
Okay.
Okay, you've started the negotiation. Let's get her in to close the deal. Working on using technology to close deals with other companies and customers who deal with them without risk. Okay, we don't need who deal with them because it's obvious that if you're talking to other companies and customers that you are dealing with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's this comment that I sometimes give for some people's writing, and that it's your writing is wordy. What does that mean?
Too many words?
Like a detailed word, more detailed.
Repetition?
No.
Too many words to express a simple idea.
Mm-hmm.
Examiners hate this kind of writing. They really do, because you've got all these additional words here, like connections and who deal with them, and it's not clear if this is making, if you're talking about something that's more complex that I'm just not understanding, or if you're just throwing in words to pad an idea.
Mm-hmm.
In high school, we call this padding. Padding an essay, for example. Do you know how football players, hockey players, they have all these safety pads that they put under their clothes?
Yeah.
Like, it's like armor, right? Because they're crashing
Yeah.
into each other. And it makes the person look really big. Like, it
Yeah.
makes them look like a He-Man,
Yeah. Yeah.
because all this padding is there. So when we say students are padding an essay, it means they're just throwing in words to increase the word count without actually increasing the quality of the ideas. So it drives examiners crazy for sure. Again, the number one rule of editing is this: if you can say the same thing with fewer words, you should always do that.
Mm-hmm.
And especially for you, given the profession that many of you are in, that you're doctors, your patients are not doctors. Your patients, 90-something% of the time, will be less educated than you are, with lower vocabulary. On top of it, they're under stress, they're anxious, they're in pain, so their ability to understand things is reduced, right? So, right, so just professionally speaking, you have an obligation to your patients to express ideas in the simplest possible way. Just assume that anyone you're talking to, talk to them as you would towards a kid who's been injured. Talk to the examiner that way. Assume they're like an injured child that you're treating.
Mm-hmm.
Contact or transfer. Okay, this is a fragment. This is not even close to being a sentence. Contact or transportation expenses. Numerous studies done. Numerous studies done regarding the advantages of communication via technology, the latest of which is one published by the University of Toronto in May 2020. Where does... Okay. I'm just going to put a capital letter in here. Safa, where does a comma belong in this sentence?
Numerous a study done regarding the advantage of communication via technology.
After studies.
You mean here?
Comma.
Not there.
No, I
Studies.
mean that it should be after technology, I think.
After, yeah, well, you've already got one there, but you need another one.
Numerous studies.
Here?
Regarding the advantages, then comma, of communication via technology.
This sentence, where is the main verb?
I'm trying to
Numerous
figure that
study
out.
was done. Numerous study were done. Numerous studies were done.
Yeah, what's the main verb? Good question.
Numerous studies. So if I will add verb, so that's mean where. Numerous studies were done regarding the advantages of communication via technology.
See, this is what I thought. I thought you need a comma here. Numerous studies done regarding the advantages of communication via technology. And I thought this whole thing was your subject. And then I thought that maybe this was just a conjugation issue, that this should be concluded.
Yeah, because it's may, yeah. We need to be put in past, concluded, that.
Points face to face. Okay, there you go. So now it makes sense grammatically. See how important these commas are. The latest of which is one. If you write like this is brilliant. This is fantastic writing. This is very high level because of the type of relative clause this is. But this, not putting this comma in here, it just, it really confuses the sentence construction. Because look how far the main verb is compared to the subject. This is why this kind of writing is so hard, because you've got these elements that are normally side by side, like the subject and the verb, and you've split them really far apart, which is perfectly fine. You've put that relative clause there in the middle, but if you don't put that comma in, then the reader's brain doesn't know where the connection is between the subject and the verb, and that's a very fundamental connection in any kind of sentence construction. If I can't see that connection, then I'm confused.
Oh, yeah, right.
Again, not technology communication, but communication through technology.
Via technology,
Or
yeah.
via technology, yeah. So you've got the research at the end. It's okay. The example is a bit weak because it's not really an example. It's just a statement. What's the difference between this and an actual example?
Example should have a real experience.
Yeah, from your own knowledge or experience. That's why it says that. When you say all companies have started working online using technology, that's not an example because you're describing all companies, right? Examples bring things to life. Joseph Stalin, this quote has been attributed to several people, but it's generally attributed to Stalin. And he said, 1 million dead soldiers is a statistic. 1 dead soldier is a tragedy. What does that mean? And that's a profound quote from a monster, but it's a very deep quote. He said, 1 million dead, he's talking about Russian soldiers. 1 million dead soldiers is a statistic. 1 dead soldier is a tragedy. What does that mean?
Because you know each and everything about one soldier who is dead instead of too many.
Kind of. Can you visualize 1,000,000 dead soldiers?
No.
No. It's an abstraction. It's such a big number that it's meaningless. There's no emotional connection to 1,000,000 people. But right, this is why stories are so important. Because you can visualize a single suffering individual, what their family is going through, what they went through, what their kids went through. Right. This is the power of examples, is that they bring an abstraction like 1,000,000 dead to life. Right. A couple weeks ago, we were talking about the power of images in the media. That was a different prompt. And that's why they show images of like that very famous image of the child that had drowned in the Mediterranean trying to cross over. That image is more powerful than a headline that says 1,000,000 people have drowned in the Mediterranean. Like, that's an exaggeration, but that single image is more powerful.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so you've got to have a good example. What are you missing here at the end? You're missing a concluding sentence for the paragraph. Okay. You've simply finished by providing the statistics, so this is evidence. But it would make more sense to do the evidence before the example. The example brings the evidence to life. So for you, example. Okay. Evidence leads to example. And then at the end, significant statement.
This means should I put the study or research, then example, then significant statement like for this reason, I think it's advantage outweigh the, or for this reason,
Many people prefer.
many people prefer communication via technology. Okay.
There you go. Yep. All right, so that is it for today. Everyone needs to work on specific, well-developed examples. That is going to make the difference. Okay, there's a lot of good ideas in the outline.
Okay.
Use those if you can't think of anything that's better on your own.
Thank you,
Okay,
Jack.
that's
you.
it.
Okay.
Have a
Okay. Thank
Thursday
you.
at
Good
noon.
night. Yeah, thank you.
Take care.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.